to order, Board of Commissioners, Tuesday, May 27th board meeting. First off, we'll begin with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioners, if you can remember to turn your mic on when you're speaking. It doesn't have to be on all the time, but when you're gonna speak would be fine. If anybody can't hear me, let me know and I'll turn my mic on, but it will blow you out if my voice carries a long ways. Roll call.
Nicole Fickus. Zach Rudat.
Here.
Bruce DeLong.
Here.
Brian Hurticamp.
Here.
Robert Showers.
Here.
John Andrews.
Here.
And Dwight Washington.
Here.
Next up, approval of the agenda. Is there any deletions or additions?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion's carried. Presentation of the meeting minutes from April 29th, 2025. Board of Commissioners meeting. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to accept and place on file, Mr. Chair.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion's carried. Communications, Genesee County Resolution recognizing May as Jewish Heritage Month. What is the pleasure of the board?
I'd move that we remove or accept and place on file.
Support.
Somebody support that?
I did.
Bob? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Retirement recognition, Linda Fox. You come on up, please. Yeah, front and center. This is a plaque recognizing Linda Fox for appreciation for dedicated service to and commitment to Clinton County from 1987 to 2025. Linda started in the planning and zoning department as a typist clerk and was promoted to secretary within the same year, as her performance exceeded all expectations from the very start of her career. 5 years later, she was promoted to account clerk in the front of the court's office. Once again, her performance exceeded expectations. She would again be promoted to finance officer, operations officer, and the deputy friend of the court. In 2021, Linda accepted her current position of the friend of the court. Throughout her career, Linda has been extremely reliable, produced a high quality of work with the impressive productivity record, has vast knowledge of the complexes of the state technology and policy, and has displayed a high level of professionalism and directness with her colleagues throughout her career. Congratulations and thank you. Next up, Administrator's Controller's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There were two late items added to the agenda. We will, Mr. Campbell and I will reserve our time to review those with you for your consideration. Nothing in addition to those to report at this time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next up, public comment, limited to 3 minutes. If anybody would like to approach the podium, please state your name, address for the record.
Good morning. Zach Wagner, 6252 West Walker Road, St. John's. I am here today to talk about the Clinton County 4-H organization, the fairgrounds, and its importance to our community. Behind me are several people that feel the same. I have a speech that takes approximately 9 minutes to get through. If you grant me that time, no one else will be making public comment.
Can you speed it up?
I'll do the best I can.
Do the best you can and
Okay.
that we get through
Well,
it.
let's get after it. Thank you for giving us the time and space to speak with you today. Standing behind me are several volunteers, committee members, families, FFA members, past and present, and also current 4-Hers and alumni, including myself. I was born and raised here in St. John's and still currently reside just west of town with my wife and our 18-month-old daughter. I'm a first-generation farmer raising corn, soybeans, wheat, canola, and beef cattle across 3,600 acres in 4 counties. As a kid growing up, the 4-H fair was the best week of the summer. I built a network of friends and contacts that helped me get to where I am today before I even learned the term networking. I look forward to getting to spend time with my friends I only saw at 4-H events, which turned out to be some of my closest friends today. I firmly believe I would not be here today without participating in 4-H. 4-H also plays a vital role in the community by fostering positive youth development, promoting lifelong learning, and engaging youth in community service. It provides a platform for young people to gain valuable life skills, build strong relationships, and contribute to their community, which is why I am here today. At the end of the day, community is what brings us together. I can't think of another activity that brings kids and adults together like the 4-H program does right here in our own community. We're here on behalf of a board coalition united by one goal: to breathe new life into our county fairgrounds, not just for ourselves, but for the entire community. Let me start by acknowledging something we all know. In the past, these conversations haven't always gone well. Too often, we've shown up in frustration, like a pitchfork mob, ready to defend something we care about deeply and passionately about, but without a clear path forward. We've expressed anger about broken promises, about lack of follow-through, and in turn, you may have felt concerned or attacked. We recognize that many of you are new to this role, and this is a chance for a reset. We want to work with you, not against you, and we want to move from frustration to collaboration. The majority of the Clinton County Fairground facilities were built with the fundraising and volunteer efforts of the 4-H program. Collaboration is what we seek. We have begun work on organizing all of the current stakeholder and potential stakeholders for the fairgrounds and the facility that it provides. It is our goal, by organizing these stakeholders, that we can develop a plan with the county to carry the fairground facility into the 21st century as one that can be broadly utilized by all of the stakeholders in the community to bring education, development, and financial gain to Clinton County. You may be asking, who are these stakeholders? We have several of them represented in the room with us today, and they include Clinton County 4-H, Clinton County Farm Bureau, St. John's FFA, St. John's Mint Festival, and numerous people in the community who utilize the fairgrounds as a place to walk and just enjoy the wide open space that is close to home. The infrastructure needs have been a long-standing challenge at the fairgrounds, and there is a storied history of sharing the cost of building new facilities, utilizing the volunteer workforce that some of the stakeholders can provide, and working as a team to maintain and build a facility that meets the needs of everyone. The 4-H program continues to invest heavily into the fairgrounds, not just emotionally, but financially and physically. There have been numerous lists over the years submitted to the administration with walkthroughs on the grounds discussing some of the major issues with the administration. These requests have all been well in advance of fair, and many of the items on the list have been for numerous years dating back to the mid-2000s. There are several folks in this room, including myself, who have participated in these meetings in the past, but gaining traction on completion has been an ongoing issue. In the current year and past 2 years, nonprofits and volunteers have poured tens of thousands of dollars into the fairgrounds on short notice just to keep the annual show going. In 2025, we have plans to spend nearly $36,000 on putting new electrical lights, enclosure, and fans into the small animal barn. 4-H applied through a grant through the state of Michigan for matching funds, and we received the grant. Again, we are making a huge investment into the facility, but now we are waiting on a response from the county on whether we have to pay for additional engineering on the electrical system. We are looking for a collaboration on the spend, not a blank check to build a Cadillac. We just want to keep our Chevy running and safe. In 2024, we spent over $17,000 on electrical repairs. $6,000 of those dollars was to satisfy the engineered drawing required by the county. This was 100% funded by 4-H without any assistance from the county. This was all due to a small electrical fire in 2023 on an electrical system that had been on the list from prior years. In 2023, we raised and spent $30,000 to purchase new bleachers because the old bleachers were condemned. In 2023, with only 3 weeks' notice, we were told we couldn't use 2 barns due to the barns being condemned based on structural integrity. These were structural issues that 4-H had notified the county of in years prior to this happening. We are grateful that the county did help us with the cost of operating the main show arena under a tent in the green space. It was this event that drew an immense amount of attention to the fairgrounds from both social media and regular media. There was a tremendous surge of support from the community. The disappointment came after the fact. There was a meeting held with administration where we as 4-H stood beside the county and quelled the hunt that was on. But in doing so, we asked to be included in the future planning and upkeep of the facility. This was promised to us by the administrators, and yet here we are again today, asking the Board of Commissioners for the opportunity to be part of the solution because that promise was not carried through. I know that the dollars above pale in comparison to the county budget, but for the 4-H program, these are huge percentages of the donations that we have generated for buildings we do not own, but are given the opportunity to utilize. We give with an open heart, and some would call it with a reckless checkbook, in order to try and keep the facility up and running so the show can go on. It is out of passion for the youth of Clinton County and the members of society, knowing what they will become, that we do this. We stepped up when it counted, and we're asking now for the county to meet us halfway. We understand what it means to utilize dollars in the right places to impact the greatest number of people we can, as well as anyone. Our community is full of skilled tradespeople, electricians, carpenters, plumbers, engineers, who are willing to volunteer their time to help rebuild and modernize the fairgrounds. We are not asking the county to carry the full burden. We are asking, can we at least cost share the permitting fees? Can we work together to streamline the red tape so we can make real progress without spending half of our time and money just to meet bureaucratic requirements? The fairgrounds are more than just a place for a summer event. They're a community hub. A vibrant fairgrounds brings foot traffic, tourism, economic activity to local businesses, gas stations, restaurants, hotels, etc. It supports youth development through 4-H, FFA, and other programs, giving kids hands-on experience, responsibility, and pride in their work. With the right improvements, we could compete with nearby facilities like the Kent County Fairgrounds or the MSU Pavilion, and even attract events or businesses that would otherwise go elsewhere. We have an opportunity to impact the entire community in a positive way that could have an enormous positive financial impact on Clinton County. We can make this as big or as small as we want. The potential is there. We just need vision and partnership. The most important thing we're asking for today is a seat at the table. Let's improve communication. Let's create a structure where community stakeholders like 4-H and skilled trades can be included in facility and planning meetings moving forward. We don't want to just be beggars, a voice that shows up once a year. We want to be part of the solution and the entire process from start to finish. In closing, thank you for your time, your attention, and your service to this community. We believe that together with honesty, transparency, and teamwork, we can transform the fairgrounds into a space that reflects the values, talents, and pride of the people who live here. We are ready. Let's work together to see this through. Thank you.
Sir, did very well in speeding that up.
How, did you time me? How'd I do?
I did.
Oh.
I decided to let you go. Is there any additional comments? Yes, sir.
Just, I think I can go right from here. I've got a cold. Years ago, I was sitting in one of the barns, Mike Madden, when he was chief, came through the barn. We had a nice conversation, but in closing, he said one thing. He said, I don't think people realize these are the kids we don't see. And I think that speaks a lot for 4-H.
Your name for the record, please?
Greg Wagner.
Thank you, sir. We do have a written public comment included in our packet. If anybody has read that. Yes, Ann.
Can I do public comment?
Sure.
Great.
Your name and address for the record.
Okay, it's Ann Hill, it's 685 Buteo, East Lansing, and it is in Clinton County. I did want to comment verbally on the written communication that I submitted, that anybody in the community can look online at today's agenda. And it's listed under public comments, written public comments, which I believe you were going to talk about. My concern has to do with a company called Tyler Technologies. I provided 3 specific sources that indicated that there could be concerns with this company. And like I said, the community can go on there. I did provide in my document links to, so that anybody can go look it up and find the sources themselves and read it for themselves. So I would like to ask the board to reconsider the approval that was given to Tyler Technologies to see if, in light of the current information, if it's still appropriate to be handing them that money for our database management. The second concern I have has to do with budget dollars. Every year, there is an annual budget that I'm sure that the administrator is working on now and is probably well on the way. That process is done once a year, and then through the Ways and Means Committee, there is the opportunity to make adjustments to that budget. From my personal experience and my perspective, those amendments should be for things that are not usual, that occur where we didn't have any knowledge that the event was going to occur. And I'll give a perfect example of that, and that's in the planning department when our planner has been called to active duty again. Totally there's no way we could have known that. And that's the perfect reason for these budget adjustments. However, when it comes to something like a data management system, it seems to me that that would be better placed in the regular annual budget rather than an amendment to the budget. Data management systems, as a general rule, take a lot of time to work through to make sure that there aren't any glitches, that everything flows smoothly, that what we expected to happen did in fact happen. It does take a lot of research in finding vendors that can do what we're asking them to do, and it does take a lot of training that would go through with the employees. But my point being, the ERP or data management system, in my opinion, really should be addressed in the regular annual budget and not as an amendment to the budget. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Anybody else wish to address the board? Seeing or hearing none, we'll move on. Tri-County Office on Aging. That would be great. Welcome, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
While she's passing those out, I'll get started. In your packet, there is a slide presentation that we put together, so you can follow along or just listen in, that's fine. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm Andrea Radel, the Executive Director at Tri-County Office on Aging, and I'm joined by Casey Cooper and Kate Long, which you'll be hearing from shortly. We just wanted to come here today to provide an overview of the programs and services that we offer. We often hear that people don't know who we are and what we do, so we thought this would be a good opportunity to share who we are. So Tri-County Office on Aging, or we are known in the community as TCOA, is a federally designated area agency on aging. We're one of 16 in Michigan and over 600 nationwide. We help older adults, adults with disabilities, and caregivers access programs, services, and benefits that aid in improving their health and remain independent and active in their communities. This is accomplished through collaborative relationships and partnerships with agencies and service providers across our service area. A little bit of history about our journey. In 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Older Americans Act into law and established the Administration on Aging. TCOA was officially founded on April 2nd, 1974, as a consortium with Clinton, Eaton, and Ingham counties and the cities of Lansing and East Lansing. Our governing board is comprised of representatives from those governments now, And Dwight Washington and John Andrews serve on our administrative board. So our mission is to promote and preserve the independence and dignity of the aging population. And at the agency, we embrace a person-centered philosophy. We try to provide people with as many choices and options as they choose as they age. I'm going to turn it over to Kate.
Hi, I'm going to talk about our programs and services. So we're on slide 5 if you're following along. TCOA fulfills its mission by offering several programs and services to older adults and adults with disabilities, often at no or little cost to the community members. TCOA offers 7 evidence-based or evidence-informed programs to meet the common health and wellness needs of older adults, their families, and caregivers, including programs that cover personal action towards health, fall prevention, and caregiver support. The State Health Insurance Assistance Program and Medicare Improvements for Patients and Providers Act, or SHIP-MIPA, offers unbiased, no-cost appointments with counselors to review insurance benefits, eligibility, and medical bills, and will guide individuals through enrollment. TCOA's Kinship Care Respite Program was developed to help non-parent older adult caregivers of minors focus on parenting while meeting their own needs and getting a break from these parenting responsibilities. TCOA's Information and Assistance Program includes knowledgeable staff that help individuals and caregivers navigate local systems of support. Staff can provide contact information to access services or assist participants in making connections. I'm going to turn it over to Casey.
And good morning, everybody. I'm going to wrap us up through our programs. So we are on slide 10 if you're following along. TCOA's Options Counseling Program is a participant-directed process in which choices, opportunities, and resources are discussed for people seeking long-term supports and services. Crisis Services also responds to non-medical emergencies such as utility shutoffs and prescription drug issues. Project Choices Program, we have the Case Coordination Program under this umbrella, which provides limited in-home support for folks up to 10 hours per week. We also have the Care Management Program, which is another in-home support program, and the My Choice Medicaid Waiver Program, which is a managed care program and a comprehensive array of services, which is an alternative to nursing home care. We also have the Nutrition Program. Many of you are probably familiar with Meals on Wheels. These nutrition programs are a significant part of what allow us to provide independence to older adults and adults with disabilities. We have the home-delivered meals as well as congregate dining sites and carry-out meals. We also work with AARP and partner with them to provide the Tax Aid Program. Provides trained volunteers who assist low and middle income older adults in prisons with disabilities with their income tax and property tax credits, February through April. So that's just wrapped up not too long ago at TCOA. We also have quite an extensive outreach program. We work with community partners and others to make sure that we're present in the community. We are often at health and resource fairs, looking forward to a couple of them coming up here in Clinton County. We do an e-newsletter. You can sign up on our website. We're on social media, and we have several brochures. If you would need any here or other places in Clinton County, we're happy to get them to you. And we're also on Fox 47 Morning Blend monthly. So there are a lot of ways to reach TCOA. Last year, we reached 13,900 people with information about programs and services. And last but not least, we have several volunteer opportunities. If anybody would like to be involved with Meals on Wheels, helping educate about Medicare, Medicaid, helping to facilitate our health and wellness classes, visit our website or please reach out. We'd love to get you connected. Thank you. Oh, sorry, one more thing. We have a golf outing coming up on June 11th. We'll be at Forest Acres West, raising funds for Meals on Wheels and other in-home services. All of this information is on our website, or you can reach out as well at 517-887-1440. Thank you.
Any questions?
Do we have a breakdown of these services by county?
We should, yeah, we do have different numbers that we can provide you.
I'd be curious to see that. And I don't know if, like, even by township, just to see who's utilizing this in our county and who's not.
We can look and see what we have and send some to you afterwards.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
2 questions, comments. One is, I did challenge my colleagues to join me in the golf. Is there
Thank you.
any discussion about means that might help them to compete with me to make it a fair challenge? Is one question. The second question is, could you give a little bit more of a detailed overview of what's going on with the nutrition programs in Clinton County? Number of sites and services delivered?
Sure. Well, first, to speak to your second question about Meals on Wheels, we're currently serving about a little over 100 folks in Clinton County right now. There is no wait list in Clinton County for Meals on Wheels. And so right now we are trying to let folks know that we have availability for people to come onto the program for Meals on Wheels. That's also dependent on volunteers. So that continues to be a need as well, to bring people onto the program to help deliver the meals. And we do have sites for the dining sites in Clinton County. Is it just the St. John's one right now, I believe? I think there might be two. Okay. But there are the dining sites in Clinton County as well, and we can get that information.
Provide that in our follow-up, yeah.
And then the golf outing question, so yes, we do have an incentive. Thank you, Commissioner Washington, for working on that so much with us. And so if you can get 2 teams to golf, so that's 8 golfers, you get 2 complimentary golfers. So bring 2 teams, and you get 2 folks for free. So basically a twosome to join your 2 foursomes. Thank you.
I'll have to leave that to the golfers to wait.
I'm not sure there are any golfers on this board, but some of us pretend to be golfers. But
Nobody said you had to be good.
No.
at my age, that's not even a question, so.
Do you guys, with everything going on in DC right now, what kind of federal funding do you guys have, and
Yeah.
how is that conversation impacting you guys?
Well, we're cautiously business as usual right now. I'll let Andrea kind of speak to some of the latest there.
Probably our most significant threat right now would be potential cuts to Medicaid. The largest program that we operate, the My Choice Waiver, which saved the state $539 million statewide last year, is the biggest risk right now. And so we're just kind of waiting to see where that makes its way through. And then also the Older Americans Act programs that we administer, the nutrition program, the Meals on Wheels, congregate meals, programs like that are all funded through federal dollars through the Older Americans Act. And right now, there's a plan to dismantle the Older Americans Act programs and have them served by multiple federal agencies, which will create bureaucratic layers for us to provide the services seamlessly like they have been in the past. So really, those are the biggest threats right now, is the potential cuts to Medicaid and then the activities with the Older Americans Act and the fact that it's still not passed. It was close to being passed at the end of last year and was pulled out, and it's being held up. So it's left us in limbo, and those provide some of the most critical services to enable older adults to remain independent in their home and age where they choose to age at home. So those are the biggest threats.
No? Okay. Thank you, ladies. Greatly appreciate it. Next up, Area Transit Annual Report.
It was gratifying to get here this morning and see this line. I think all these people are interested in transit. What else would they be here? I know you received all these in your packet, but somebody was in here a while along, maybe with paper copy.
I have to confess, this is my golf partner, so if I don't say anything, it's because he's my golf partner.
Fortunately, this morning, Melissa Shutt will be doing the remarks. She's already told me I've done enough of that, so thank you very much.
Well, good morning, Board of Commissioners. Thank you for your time this morning. It's always a pleasure to get before you and tell you what the Blue Bus is doing. Before I do that, I want to let you know that we have a couple board members here. You know Gail Watkins, of course. We have Dan Scorich. If you'll stand, Dan, please. He's been on the board for 10 years now. And Jody, Josephine Smith, I just drew a blank. Sorry, Jody, I did the same thing Gail did to you. Jody's actually been on the board since 2001. So almost since the beginning of the inception of the Blue Bus. So just thank you for coming out and showing their support today. I'll keep it brief. If you get me going, we can talk all day about transit. It is a passion. Very thankful to be able to be a part of the Clinton Transit team and to really be looking back at the last 6 years, because I joined the team in July of 2019, and it was shortly after, I think Gail was also assigned to the, appointed to the board. And so a lot has changed. The Blue Bus is not who we were 6 years ago. Our business model is not what it was 6 years ago. I think 6 years ago, it had gotten not to, everybody that has brought the agency to where it was at that point. I can't speak to ill of what they did or did not do. I can only say that from 6 years ago to now, what our business model is to be the mobility hub of Clinton County. What does that look like? And we really had to go back to what is our why? Why are we here? Why is the Blue Bus here in Clinton County? And when we captured that, and I'll tell you what our why is, it's to keep people connected. At the end of the day, that's what we do. Everything that we do at Clayton Transit is driven by to keep people connected to the important people and places in their lives. Because that's what getting in your car every day does for you. And so as a public agency, that's what our goal is, that's what our why is. And so having that at the forefront of everything that we've done has allowed us to be more responsive to the community needs. And what I mean by that is whenever I talk to people, groups of people in the community, and I tell them, yes, you're gonna go to our website, you're gonna see a list of days and times, places that we go. We have to establish that standardized operating hours and days. But what I also encourage everyone to do and share with you today is that if it's something, there's a need, a mobility need outside of that box, call us anyways. Because that's our job. We feel that if we just operate within what we know at the moment, the community needs change, they evolve. And so if we're not being responsive to that evolution, then we're really not doing our jobs. And that's what's changed dramatically at Clinton Transit, is that when you call and it's outside of those published days and times, we have staff that are gonna look at how can we get you there outside of that. Maybe it's not just the Blue Bus providing the service, maybe it's the Blue Bus connecting you with a service that could provide it or a resource that could provide it. A funding program like through TCOA for Older Americans Act that's funded through federal dollars that funds transportation. Maybe it's something like that. So broadening our scope of what mobility means and what it looks like, it's just moving buses, it's moving people. And that has changed the culture within the organization and has then spills over into everything that we do. Our drivers and our dispatchers, I hear good things about them all the time, and the service that they provide, the willingness that they have to go the extra mile for the people that we serve. So on to our annual 2024 report. You have it in front of you. I won't read it to you. But a couple big projects that are happening at Clinton Transit. One of the things that we knew, we've grown so quickly. We were at 40% in over our pre-pandemic numbers. We're the only transit agency in Michigan that can say that we've done that. We've accomplished that. But we also recognized that it was time to kind of step back and evaluate how are we doing with it. It happened so quickly. So part of that was we did do a transit development plan, and as you may recall, last year in April of 2024, that was published and is available on our website. And we really, the focus of that was to hear from the community. What are we doing? What are we not doing to meet the needs? What are the needs that still exist here in Clinton County? The two top ones that we saw was Sunday service, which didn't surprise us because we don't operate on Sundays yet. But life doesn't stop happening for anybody on Sundays either. And so we recognize that there's a need there to invest, to look into how can we do that and do that with the most efficient, in the most efficient manner with the funding that we have now. The other need that was identified by reaching out to the community was connector routes, if you will. Those are, I guess like fixed routes that would feed into the Lansing area. We know that Lansing is the hub of this region. We know that because 30% of our ridership is going to and from Lansing. There's a need for us to be connected and remain connected to Lansing, and so we continue to foster that relationship with CATA. So what we, in looking back at how quickly we've grown, where we're going, there's a couple things that came to mind. One, how do we be more efficient with the dollars that we have? So we applied for a Michigan Mobility Fellowship Program grant, first one offered in the state, and there were 10 projects selected for that, and we were one of 10. We were one of only 2 transit agencies selected for that. It was us and MTA over in Flint. And the goal of that program was a transportation planning project. So what we have, and so the mobility fellow that has been assigned to our agency, we interviewed and selected this person. He's a recent graduate from MSU. He's working on developing a tool to help accurately assess our performance metrics. When you look at it was just that basic question, how do we know we're doing well? How do we know we're operating efficiently? Are we operating 70% efficiently? 80%? How do we know? There's no base measure. When you operate on-demand services or dial-a-ride services, which means the person schedules their ride either via our mobile app or calls in, and we pick them up where they want to get picked up and where they want to go. There's no base standardized measurement to say that this is efficient and this isn't efficient in that type of service. Not like a fixed route that doesn't deviate from their services, right? It's the same route. You can measure that efficiency. The tendency with demand response systems is to compare us to other transit agencies that would be similar in size, county geographic size and population. So for example, if you look up, we looked it up, Berry County was one that we are similar to in size and geographic size and population. But when we ran the numbers and compared our hours, vehicle hours, miles, passengers, it didn't seem to share an accurate story or offer an accurate picture of what we're doing, because what their transit agency does is not what we do. They don't leave the county. We leave the county for 30% of our ridership going to Ingham County. So our service area is not just the geographic location of Clinton County. Not only that, but we offer through our Community Connection program the services to Ann Arbor, Battle Creek, Saginaw, especially for our veterans, for those in our community that are most vulnerable, which is our seniors and persons with disabilities, and we've also included veterans in that category. So that wasn't an accurate picture, and it wasn't a good representation of what our performance metrics are. So we have that project going on. We also applied for and received an Equitable Mobility Challenge grant through the state of Michigan, and we were awarded just over about $550,000 over 4 years. The goal of that project is 2 things. One, to expand service where we see that there's a need. Saturdays, we only operate till 6. We know that there's some need there for second and third shifters, that we need to be out a little later, a couple hours later. Looking at possibly Sundays. The other goal of that project is to create a coordination committee with other health and human service, with our health and human services partners like TCOA, to sit at the table and have those in-depth conversations of what's going on with the mobility needs, where are we not meeting the needs. But additionally, it's to leverage those non-DOT funding dollars that we know are coming into our community through other types of programs like Older Americans Act, Veterans, Medicaid, that have not been traditionally easy to leverage as a public transit agency. It's strange. For example, the VA, we've been in discussions with them for a year, and there's some federal regulation that has set a contract for they can only use the one provider that the feds have contracted for the state level VA transportation. So they can't contract us to do the transportation, and yet we have the infrastructure. So they're building now, for example, with the VA, they have their own infrastructure, their veterans, but they also recognize that there's veterans not getting where they need to go. but they can't utilize us unless they pay us a fare of whatever our posted fare is, let's say it's $3. Well, that doesn't help us. As a transit agency, what we've done then is just subsidize DOT dollars or Medicaid dollars, for example, or veterans dollars with DOT dollars. We can't do that anymore. We can't afford to do that. And we also recognize here in Clinton County that we've asked and been supported by the local community with our millage. And it's our job to look at how to diversify our revenues beyond just taxpayer dollars. And so that's what we're looking for through that program, is to have those conversations with those agencies that have those funding dollars that we know are coming into the community. We just need to be able to tap into it. As you may recall, in 2023, we received a $2.5 million grant, federal grant. It was through the congressionally directed spending through Senator Peters' office. That is going to pay for expansion to our maintenance facility. As we continue to expand our fleet, we don't have the room to maintain those vehicles. And so the bids will go out for that in July. We'll break ground in September. We also have, as part of that Equitable Mobility Challenge Grant, I forgot to mention the microtransit services. So when you hear microtransit, just think Uber, because that's what it is. It's our version of Uber. And so we recognize that in an effort to try to be more efficient with what we have, we've designated 2 microtransit zones here in Clinton County. It's the St. John's and DeWitt area. You have to go around where you're more highly densely populated. So this type of service is not going to be suitable for a county-wide service. But what it's going to do is we have vehicles that do not leave these 2 zones, St. John's and DeWitt. And so anyone can get on their app and request a ride, and we can be there within 15 minutes, just like the Uber model. Now, we're piloting that right now. We're testing that to make sure it works well, and we plan to launch that in October to the general public. And what we'd hope would happen is that individuals who would not traditionally think that they could use the Blue Bus, maybe some people here today, would be able to use the Blue Bus for those short-term or those short trips here in St. John's or in DeWitt. So that's my update today. I would rather hear questions from you or comments from you. As always, it's a pleasure to serve here in Clinton County, to be a part of what the amazing, it's a privilege. When I look at what we get to do every day, we keep people connected to the fairgrounds. We get to keep them connected to one another, to their grandparents being able to get home for the holidays. It truly is a privilege to be a part of that, and I thank you for your time.
Questions?
Hey, Melissa.
Hi,
Where are we at with CATA in the intercounty local agreement? As of
we
today?
are in negotiations with our interlocal agreement. Good question.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Hi, Melissa. I just want to say that I booked a trip on the Blue Bus, and I didn't explain that I was a commissioner or anything. I just needed to go pick up my car from having an oil change, and rather than taking an Uber, I took the Blue Bus, and they were on time. It was a very friendly environment. There were about 6 others on the bus. You could tell that they knew each other. There was really pleasant conversation going on. The driver was very friendly. The bus was extremely clean, and I really appreciated that service. So I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for being willing to utilize it. You just jump out. I challenge all of you to just try it once.
I should know this, but there's a program for veterans, is that correct? And how much do they pay to ride the Blue Bus?
They pay $0 to ride.
That's
Our veterans,
really great
it's
service.
just the right thing to do. If you've served your country, you deserve that. And I appreciate that our leadership at our board has recognized that and implemented that.
And how many veterans do you think you get a year?
I can certainly get you that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great to be around the community and hear people talk about the Blue Bus, and it's really great just to see the Blue Bus around, so that's wonderful. My question is, though, What is the Blue Bus Clinton Transit Authority's relationship with the schools at this point in time?
We've tried to have some discussions in the past with how to help meet their needs. We have to be careful with school transportation because we cannot by our licensing, we cannot provide exclusive school transportation, meaning that no one else can get on that bus when there's school children on board. It has to be an open door service. And so we're also very mindful of the reality that unless the school systems are willing to pay the full cost of something like that for us to do, we would be taking away from persons being able to get to work. So we've limited the number of school children that do ride our service, but that's brought on by the parents' request. We haven't had a lot of schools approaching us. When I tried to have that conversation a few years ago at the county level, I think with the school of choice, there's a competitive nature with these school districts, right? I couldn't really get them to what I envisioned, I guess, and this is just, the pie in the sky idea, but that Clinton Transit could be the school, that we could provide school, it would be separate, obviously, from our dial-a-ride and demand response system, but that we could provide school transportation throughout the county for all of the school districts. But because there's such there is such a competitive nature with school of choice, none of the schools were really open for that type of conversation. And frankly, none of them have been open to wanting to fund the transportation. Yeah.
Anything else for Melissa? Thank you.
Thank you, always a pleasure.
Next on the agenda is the adoption of the summer property tax resolution and certification of the county millage rate. Entertain a motion to do such.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Is there any question? This will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Andrews.
Yes.
Burdette.
Yes.
Showers.
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
And Galon.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent.
Perfect, thank you. Next up, Clinton County Sheriff's Annual Report.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Sheriff.
Under Sheriff Ute and Captain McGuffin will be up here as well to help answer any questions, if there are any. I'm just gonna give a brief summary of the major divisions of the Sheriff's Office and our activity. First of all, I wanna thank you all for your support. It's been 3 years since we took over as sheriff and our administration, and I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in that time. For the 2024 report, I'll start with our law enforcement or road patrol. Complaint activity increased by over 2,200 self-generated, which is normally traffic-related events and calls for service. Most of the increase is from traffic stops that turn into warrant arrests, driving on suspended license, drunk driving, etc. Calls for service were up by 301 from 23. Our road patrol was active trying to slow people down and enforce other traffic laws, and these efforts often turn into more than just a traffic stop. Written reports went up from 3,190 in 2023 to 3,418 in 2024. This is an increase of 228 written reports. OWI arrests went up from 91 in 23 to 114 in 24. Traffic citations increased from 4,375 in 23 to 4,960 in 24. And traffic crashes were down from 1,602 in 23 to 1,522 in 24. Oftentimes, the traffic crashes, the correlation goes with increased traffic enforcement. The goal is to bring those down. We did have 6 traffic fatalities in 24, which is down from 8 in 23. Our road patrol had another fantastic year, and their increased efforts in traffic enforcement was done while having 2 to 3 officers at a time on light duty due to various injuries and medical problems. We've always done more with less, but with the increase in road patrol officers in 2025, we should continue to increase traffic enforcement and arrests that come from these traffic contacts. Detective Bureau, this is probably the busiest year I remember our Detective Bureau. As most of you know, I was in charge of the Detective Bureau for 11 years before I became sheriff. In 2024, we saw a 17% increase in investigations from 23. Criminal sexual assault cases were up 20% from 23 to 24. And many of these investigations start as a referral from Child Protective Services. CPS and Adult Protective Services referrals saw a 42% increase from 23 to 24. Our forensic detectives investigated 113 devices, mostly cell phones, which is an increase of 47% from 2023. Of the 113 devices, 80 of these devices were for sheriff's office cases. The remaining 33 devices were for other law enforcement agencies in the county that we assist. Having these forensic detectives on staff allows us and other agencies in the county the ability to put criminals behind bars with the evidence and/or probable cause that is often found on their cell phones without having to wait months for MSP to download a phone or computer. Corrections Division. In 2024, 1,703 individuals were booked in the jail. And of that number, 1,257 were male, 442 were female, and 4 unknowns. Our average daily population in 24 was 108 with 1 boarder. In 2023, there were 1,651 individuals booked in the jail with 1,218 males and 433 females. Our average daily population for 23 was 119 with 6 boarders. In 2024, we switched inmate phone services and this increased revenue from $28,995 in 2023 to $136,175 in 24. The new company that we switched to provides tablets to all of our inmates so they can communicate with their family, friends, and loved ones while in jail. They don't have to just wait until visitation on Saturday or Sunday. And this also eliminated the on-site visitation, which there's lots of benefits for that. Animal control. The animal control officers were very busy in 2024 as well. There was a total of 992 complaints in 24 as opposed to 744 in 23. We have had 2 ACO officers since the 80s, and we are definitely going to need to look at hiring an administrative person to help with many of the duties at the shelter so the 2 ACO officers can spend more time on the road responding to calls. We are very proud of the work our staff does on a daily basis, and I'm very thankful for the support from the Board of Commissioners and County Administration. In addition, the support from the public is amazing, and I remind our staff often as to how blessed we are to live and work in a county that supports us in so many ways and appreciates the work that we all do. Thank you. The Undersheriff's got some stuff, and then we'll answer questions.
Thank you. With some new commissioners on the board, I wanted to present to you a packet. I keep track of all the changes that we make yearly. There's a couple on here that I don't have that have happened this year, but I know we met with the sheriff. I met with Commissioner Hurdicant last week or 2 weeks ago, and I provided a copy to him. I felt it would only be fair to give everybody a copy, but these are the departmental changes that we've made since 2022 across all divisions, so you're all aware of what we've done. We have not sat back and just let the grass grow. There was many issues within the agency that we identified immediately upon taking over as administration. We tackled a lot of things immediately. As you flip through this, I don't expect it to be done now, but in your off time, if you want to flip through it and if you want to ask questions at some point at another commissioner meeting, we'd be happy to answer any of them. We hit the ground running, as you'll see. We came into a department that was completely in the 80s when it came to technology and how things were done. A lot of that is due to you have a sheriff and an administration that is a bit more youthful and into new times and new ways. We have enhanced things across the board when it comes to the officers were literally handwriting reports 3 years ago and submitting them in to be typed by a secretary. We've become more efficient when it comes to that. They now type the reports in the cars, which they had the ability to do from years ago. They just were never allowed to. Our scheduling is all automated now. Many things within our office are now electronic, which catches up to the new times. With that, it takes money. Thank you to the commissioners, current and previous, for allowing us to purchase software and things to enhance our department as far as technology. So we appreciate that. The other part of it is training. We literally had a record system in this county that nobody knew how to use. And thanks to the commissioners, allowed us training money here recently to train everybody in the county how to use the record system. That is ongoing. That is literally twice a month. There's a lady that comes here from our records company and trains everybody in the county on how to use our record system, including corrections staff. So we appreciate that. One thing I'd like to discuss is there's been a lot of talk about a dive team. And I want to put to rest or answer any questions that we may have regarding the dive team. A big part of that is Captain McGuckin. If you can come up here, Tim. We have a jail administrator that came from Lapeer County, 20 years. Not only was he an administrator in Lapeer County in the jail, but he owns his own company as a use of force expert and is on retainer with Oakland County and has assisted them with several lawsuits in the past. He now works for our county. I had my eyes on him a couple years ago, and we got him here. So by bringing Tim here, he has cleared up so many things that we've had as far as issues with proper procedures within the jail, policy and procedure, use of force questions, training the entire staff on the proper way to do things so that we are a model county to our inmates. That's what we want to be known as. They're treated just and fairly. 7 years ago, when I was the chief of police in DeWitt Township, then Sheriff Giroux had came to all the chiefs at a chief meeting, month after month after month, saying we need somebody on the dive team. We had a Clinton County dive team that was part of the Tri-County Capital Area dive team, and there was it's a specialty thing. There was nobody that wanted to do that special assignment. It's difficult to find somebody that wants to go underwater and feel safe and comfortable underwater, let alone train them as well. It's very costly to train somebody. We had nobody that was within this county. So what happened was that Sheriff Rigglesworth reached out to Sheriff Giroux and said, I'm sorry, but we have to pull out of, we can't come to Clinton County anymore and do your dive calls. That literally changed procedures within 911. So that if we had a dive issue, it was contact with Michigan State Police Underwater Recovery Team. And at that point, by the time they take 2 to 3 hours to get here, it's no longer a rescue, it's a recovery, okay? Captain McGuckin is a certified diver. He ran Lapeer County's dive team. Lapeer County has a lot of water. They were also part of the Southeast Michigan dive team, which is a conglomerate of, I believe, 19 counties.
Yeah, 32 separate teams.
Okay, that is basically the largest regional dive team in America. We are now part of that. If we need help and we call for a dive issue, we're not just getting him. We're getting Oakland County, we're getting St. Clair County, we're getting Genesee County, we're getting Lapeer County, anybody that may come help us. And all these teams have special equipment, sonars and boats. When we had our issue in Waukusta a year and a half ago, and we all know about that, it was so unfortunate that this county could not provide a dive team for that family. We had nobody to send to them. But through Tim, he wasn't working here at the time, he got all of his resources from the Southeast Dive Team to come help us. And they were in the water a lot. We are now a part of that. I know everybody says there's not a ton of water in Clinton County, but you start looking at the gravel pits and the lakes and the streams that we have here and the ponds, we do have a lot of water.
Grand River.
Absolutely. Looking Glass, there's a lot of water here. He brought with him his experience and has formed our dive team here in Clinton County. We now have a dive team that if something happens, your family members are not gonna have to wait. He's coming. And he has a team built within our sheriff's office staff across all divisions, corrections, because you need more than just divers, you need people to row and paddle and hold lines. He has a whole team set up here. With that, we had a donation of a considerable amount of money that was earmarked for the dive team. He has purchased equipment with that money, no cost to any taxpayers, none. They are training, they're ready, he's got the equipment, and we have our own dive team here now. We're part of Southeastern Michigan dive team. We're also gonna be back part of the Capital Area dive team to be back to that Tri-County dive group as well. and now we can help our residents. So with that, I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit and discuss that so everybody could hear what was going on with the dive team. Any questions at all?
You said it was private donate. How much did you receive dedicated to the dive team?
$25,000. Also, Captain McGuckin's resources, Oakland County has given him equipment, and Lapeer County has given him all of his equipment from when he was on their dive team that we have back to use here in our county. Anything else? I covered all?
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
Okay.
And I have another question. Do you know perhaps like in the last 10 or 5 years, how many drownings have we had in this county?
Since I've been here, we've had the one. I think you had one as well.
We have some, usually there's, not every year, but we usually have at least one, like in a pool or a boating accident or something like that. But it can vary dramatically from one year to the next.
Yeah, and typically these are in more of a recovery mode rather than a rescue.
Well, we hope if we can get to it
Yeah.
immediately, it's a rescue. You know, but it depends how long they're down for.
I know we had a good conversation
Yeah.
about it, so,
Well,
yeah, thank
and
you.
I'd like to bring up to the board too, there's three things statutorily that a sheriff is responsible for. Obviously a jail, civil process, and all waterways. The sheriff is responsible for all waterways, investigations, accidents within the county. Has to be reported to him, not DNR, not anybody else, not the Coast Guard, has to be reported to the sheriff. And so the dive team kind of helps bring all that together, that if something happens, we can have our own people doing the investigation and helping with recoveries and rescues and things like that, so.
With the Wacusta incident, which was one of the worst things I've seen in my career, that young child was lost, but we could have been down there in a matter of probably 30 minutes, we could have been in the water instead of hours waiting for MSP or other dive units. So that could have changed that dramatically as well.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any civilians in the group that help out or anything?
There actually is one, yeah.
Okay.
He's a master diver too.
He's a master diver, yeah,
He's amazing skills.
probably, yeah, he has more experience than I do. He's,
Mr. Chair, can I ask our law enforcement executives to comment on what impact the loss of millage in Eaton County? We're fortunate that our department is well-managed and staffed well. If you were a citizen, if one is a citizen in Eaton County and another year from now, and there are no sheriff deputies, tell us from your experience what kind of havoc that causes for citizens that we will never encounter here.
Crime's gonna go up dramatically in Eaton County, and I think it has already when they eliminated their night shift. I mean, criminals look for easy targets, and when there's no law enforcement presence, there's nothing easier than that. We've spoken to the post commander at the Lansing Post. We're gonna see very, very, very little MSP in Clinton County now as a result of Eaton County. Ingham County's gonna see a reduction as well. They just don't have enough people to completely handle all of the, the patrol duties of Eaton County by itself, let alone come help up here in Clinton and Ingham. So we're very fortunate to live and work in a county where we are in the black, and the money's been managed well for years.
In that regard, there are a number of municipal police forces in Clinton County, but I know that our sheriff's department works with them, every day. I know you do. So for purposes of discussion, could you relate a little bit the liaison relationship, the partnership you have with them and how that works? A lot of folks say, well, we pay for the DeWitt Township Police Department, which is me, I pay for that. But I know that the sheriff's department has a huge role in working with that department. Could you comment, please, on what the sheriff's department does with these other local units?
For example, our detective bureau, which I talked about earlier, we did, I think I said 33 devices for other agencies just in the county. And that helps them bring closure to their cases and justice for their victims. And we don't have to wait for MSP. I mean, for example, MSP, if you rely on MSP for DNA, say we've got a crime scene where we've got DNA and we submit it, it's often 10 months at least before we get anything back. In that time, that criminal's still walking the street. With these cell phones, as people know, I mean, We've got GPS coordinates. I mean, we're able to, you know, find deleted texts, deleted emails, things like that, that we're able to put bad people away immediately instead of having to wait. And oftentimes they're sexual offenders in nature, along with all of the child porn and that kind of stuff that's out there. I couldn't imagine not having two, and that's why we were very fortunate the first year that we took over, the board approved a new detective for the DB to be trained in cell phone forensics, and he's up and running now, and I'm very thankful for that because it's key to solving cases. We're the only department in the county that does that. Also, if there's a major scene, a homicide, our entire detective bureau will go help Bath Township, DeWitt Township, any jurisdiction. If it happens up in Elsie or Ovid, I mean, where they're a part-time department, I'm sure we'd take the whole thing. In the history, when I was in the detective bureau, they had a major case, they would ask me to run with it if it involved, especially if it involved a child. So we help out everybody. We work well with the other agencies, and we have a good working relationship with them.
And one more question. In the last couple of years, at a county governmental level and working with other counties, we've been advised of a lot of activity with drones today. And do we have a drone? I can't remember. Do we have a drone?
We do have.
Would you comment on what we do with that and how that helps you? In the past, there was no, as I recall, there was no coverage but now you have more tools to work with, so.
You're a little better versed in that. Technology is not my thing.
You're not alone, Sheriff.
The department has, I believe, 3 drones currently, 2 small ones, 1 large drone. They're all made by DJI, phenomenal. We got a new drone last year. It's about that big. It's got thermal imaging capabilities, night vision. It has a spotlight and speaker on it, so we can send it out into like a field for maybe somebody that's lost and talk to them, try to bring them back out to us. But it has completely changed how we do business. That drone is literally on the road about 24 hours a day. It's in a car set up, charging at all times, that it has to be deployed. We send it out to assist other agencies. But when you can put eyes in the sky with our own little helicopter, it protects officers or deputies, life safety. It can get vision on something so we know where somebody's at. It can see, you know, anytime you can get up high, you can see a lot further and up a lot more. You have a child lost or, you know, somebody that's got a gun out in the woods, we can put that drone up instead of going out there and going after them. So at night with the thermal imaging capabilities, you know, heat seeking, you can find people under brush and under the cover of darkness and things like that. It's a great tool for us.
Thank you.
Just to give you an idea, obviously we're a small county, but there is large cities that a drone deploys prior to law enforcement arriving on scene. So they sit in their office and they have little drone garages across the city. And when there's a hot call that comes in, that drone goes first so that they can get eyes on it before officers get on scene. That's what it's coming to now. So I don't expect that here anytime soon, but that's how drones are changing our jobs.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Question. Can you talk a little bit how the special ops team is funded?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is, historically, the SWAT team, which is members from basically every department in the county makes up the SWAT team. Historically, it's always been funded by just a golf outing. Granted, it's a very big golf outing, but that was all. Myself and Sergeant Hamilton, who's in charge of the team, we went to a quarterly township meeting last year and asked to see if some of the townships would be willing to add, donate money to the team every year. And also this generous donation that we got for the dive team, this wonderful lady also wrote a check for $25,000 to the dive team. And we gave that to her. Or sorry, the SWAT team, not the dive team. So, and currently there are townships that put in, and I'm actually requesting for the next year's budget that the county participate in that, putting some money towards the SWAT team as well. It used to be, 3-4 call outs a year. Last year they had 14, and 12 the year before. I mean, we have a lot more mental health issues we're dealing with. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people on the streets that, in my opinion, should not have been paroled. it's much more active. I think SWAT teams across the state are much more active than they've been in years past. So it's definitely a need that we need to continue to fund and fund properly.
I'll be looking for support in the Ways and Means from my fellow commissioners on that. too.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there, just compared to last year, even the last couple of years, has there been any big trends that you see that are concerning in terms of crime? Like one particular type of crime that's upticking or one area of the county that's seeing more activity?
Well, I mean, the southern townships that border Lansing, especially Bath and DeWitt, Watertown, Eagle, there tends to be more issues there because you're closer to a big city. As far as types of crime, I mean, there is no shortage of criminal sexual conduct cases. And a lot of those are referrals that come from mandated reporters at schools and hospitals where they see something with a child and then they report it and then we investigate it. But as I mentioned earlier, we've had an increase in that, which is disturbing to me. But in my opinion, a pedophile needs to be warehoused because you ain't fixing them. So our DB does a great job bringing justice to victims of sexual assault. But it used to be before Ring doorbells and all of this technology, we would have rashes of home invasions. That used to be like every summer we'd get hit with, there'd be a couple crews going around hitting home invasions. And then we'd catch them and it'd stop and then somebody else. But I really think with all of this technology out there, that has reduced that dramatically. We still have a lot of addicts that's how they fuel their addiction, but they're finding other ways like frauds and things of that nature than as opposed to breaking into houses like we used to see, which is a good thing.
I guess just an additional question, kind of with our neighbors to the south who take a very much a different approach on crime in general. Is there, with the change in administration in DC and a little bit more stricter enforcement on immigration, have we seen any change here in Clinton County as a result of that yet, or is it still?
Well, I can tell you, Ingham County getting a new prosecutor has made a difference for the Tri-County area. The previous prosecutor, in my opinion, was woke and she didn't care about punishing criminals. The new one is fantastic and he's brought back a lot of the things that she took away, including traffic enforcement and things that are, she had a policy that if I were to pull you over for a tail light out and you had a pound of cocaine on the passenger seat, she wouldn't charge you with the cocaine. And she publicly said that. That's insanity. That's how we get a lot of drugs and guns and people with warrants off the street is traffic enforcement. So John Dwayne has done an amazing job down there in Ingham County, and that has helped. I do see the pendulum starting to swing back where they're gonna start holding more people accountable because we've seen the last 8 to 12 years, there's all this legislation that's done nothing but cater to the criminals, and we've seen what that resulted in. So I think things are starting to swing back slowly but surely.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all. Thank
Great
you
day,
much.
you guys.
Anybody else need to take a couple minute break? Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. We're gonna take a couple minute break. Moving on, zoning items.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to present case PC 1025, special land use. Petition recommended for approval with conditions by the Planning Commission from the month's meeting. Special land use renewal application was submitted by James McCausey for the renewal and continued use of a medical hardship housing opportunity at 6018 Essex Center Road in Essex Township. The applicant is seeking to renew PC 1115 special land use, which was approved by the Board of Commissioners in July 2015 under section 1336 medical hardship housing opportunity.
Commissioner Kennedy.
I have no additional comments. Yeah, I'll make a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, this will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Washington,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Hudak,
Yes.
Porticam,
Yes.
Showers,
Yes.
and Malone.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanner. Okay, next, Central Dispatch Union Affiliation Letter of Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned this briefly at the HR committee. However, I'll give a little bit more background. The telecommunicators have expressed an increase in interest in changing their union affiliation from the POAM, which is Police Officers Association of Michigan, to the Capital City Labor Program. There is a process through the Michigan Employee Relations Commission that they petition. There's a hearing. The MERC conducts an election. It's about a 90-day process, start to finish approximately. In this circumstance, the two union organizations have agreed to mutually recognize the change prior to the expiration of the current contract. They approached the county if we were willing to recognize the change in representation that has been mutually agreed to by those two labor organizations. I see no reason to stand in the way and go through the MERC process. So they presented a letter of agreement, which the county would recognize the change, and the membership would continue to remit dues to the exiting labor organization through the end of this year. And the current labor organization would disavow any further interest at the end of this month, May 31st, as included in the letter of agreement, and the county would voluntarily recognize the new union affiliation effective June 1st.
Entertain a motion to approve the letter of agreement between the county and the Police Officers Association of Michigan and the Capital City Labor Program.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there support? Support. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried.
I'm gonna let Mr. Campbell handle this one. He's working with the Planning and Zoning Department and the planning consultant to provide these services, so.
Thank you, John. Excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. As you may recall from the most recent Ways and Means Committee meeting, Administrative Controller Fuentes provided an update on Planning and Zoning Department back in, and of course, also in April, the Board of Commissioners approved an agreement with OHM Advisors to provide temporary services for our assistant planner, as Mr. White, as you all recall, is being deployed for his National Guard unit. So the report that Mr. Fuentes provided informed the Ways and Means Committee that our Planning and Zoning Director, Christina McKember, recently resigned her position. So that's going to leave us two members down rather than just one, which would be certainly difficult enough. But obviously, we need to be able to provide planning and zoning services So administration originally reached out to a number of planning firms to request proposals for a temporary assistant planner to help out Mr. White's deployment, as I just mentioned. We received the one complete proposal that best fits the department's needs. And then, now that the planning and zoning director has resigned her position, administration has requested a modified proposal from OHM Advisors, the same folks that had given us the one for the assistant planner. To provide those services, this position would also serve as the county's zoning officials / zoning administrator to be able to sign off and approve zoning applications and the like, and as well as doing zoning enforcements. OHM's proposal provides 2 contract team members to meet the county's needs to maintain planning and zoning department operations until Assistant Planner Mr. White returns from his deployment and the county can fill the vacant planning and zoning director position. The proposal is a cost not to exceed $86,512. The temporary team members will be on site 1 to 2 days, meaning in the office or sometimes out in the field. And then the balance of the time would be virtual. The proposal calls for the temporary planning and zoning director to begin working this week before the 14-week deployment begins. This is, as you may recall, Mr. White this is his last week before he's deployed. Just a note, Clinton County will be saving a combined $50,901 in wages and benefits in the planning and zoning because of the planning and zoning director resigning, as well as Mr. White being deployed. So the net cost to the department, to the county, would be $35,702. So our suggested action would be to approve the proposal. Also, just another note, Lynn Wilson from OHM is here this morning if there are any questions that she might be able to answer on the proposal going forward.
Does anybody have any questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve the proposal from OHM Advisors as presented and authorize the county administrator controller to sign all necessary documents.
I'll make that motion.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Sure.
We have the Mid-Michigan District Health Department update. It's a written report. We will move on to the approval of Commissioner's expense accounts. Commissioner Camp.
Yeah, I'll move with the approval of the chair and clerk of the commissioner's expense accounts.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion's carried. Remember to submit your expense report, please.
White.
Not gonna point any fingers. No, it just slows up the clerk's office from getting things done, so. If we can do that, please. Next up, Ways and Means Committee meeting. Commissioner Camp.
Yes, the Ways and Means Committee met on May 15th, 2025. Discussed several items. First item up for approval will be recommending accepting the 2024 financial statements and the report on expenditures of federal awards and place on file. I so move.
Moved and supported. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried.
Next item, this is in relation to the opioid settlement funds. I move to recommend approval of 5 opioid settlement fund grant awards as presented. And I'll read off the awardees and the amounts. First is Bath Township Library, $7,500. The second is Clinton County Journey Court, which is $64,552. The next is CMHA of CEI of $121,702. The next is Recovery Work for $120,000. And the last is the Clinton County Veterans Court for $48,030. And I so move.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Is there any questions? This will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Yes.
Hudak.
Yes.
Showers.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
And DeLong.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent, motion carried.
Next item is capital improvement budget amendments. I so move to recommend approving the additional of 4 ordinary CPI budget items into the 2025 CPI budget as presented.
Support.
Any questions? This will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Showers.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Hudak.
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes.
And DeLong.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent, motion carried.
Next is the summer property tax levy resolution and certification of county millage rates. I move to recommend
Already
authorizing.
did that, Brian.
Oh, yep,
Sorry.
did, sorry.
That's
One's on
okay.
there. Next is, up is the June 2025 committee calendar. I move to recommend approval of the June 2025 open meeting and events calendar.
Support.
Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion's carried.
And let's see, accounts payable. Next item is the accounts payable invoices.
Don't-
Or, wait, did we already do those? No, we didn't.
You got it covered, sir.
Yep,
Yeah, that
you're
was the
there.
last one.
Yeah, that's the last one. All right, with that concludes the Ways and Means.
Commissioner Hurdicane's gonna fill in for Human Resources.
So Human Resource Committee met on May 15, 2025. The first item we have up is a district court request, and I move to recommend authorizing the temporary reclassification of Rachel Devereaux to grade 11 during the remainder of the employee's disability leave for up to 3 months as requested.
Is there support?
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried.
Next item up is circuit court request. I move to recommend approving the additional of a pretrial service case manager grade 6 to the county classification system to approve the job description as reviewed by the human resource manager and authorized by filling the position.
Is there support?
Support.
Any questions? This will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Hudak.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Showers.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes.
And DeLong.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent, and motion carried.
Next up is indigent defense update and request. I move to recommend approval of the one-time payment of $2,500 to Carol McLean for the additional responsibilities assumed during January 2025 through May 2025 as recommended.
Is there support?
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion's carried.
Next up is to recommend authorizing the posting and filling of the planning director position. I so move.
Support.
Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion's carried.
And that concludes the Ways and Means Committee.
Next up, we have the Infrastructure Committee meeting. First action item, recommend approving the proposal and agreement with Hobbs and Black Architects for the amount of $51,000 to update the Townsend Road Campus Master Plan, focusing on the jail remodel option. And I would so move.
Support.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I spoke with yourself and with Administrator Fuentes to also in some way earmark what it would cost to maintain the jail in its current condition and for how many years. Just so everybody knows that. I don't recall if there was, and this is a good motion, because in the past, we didn't really have a definitive idea of what it would cost to remodel the current building. I do recall in the past that those of us who were here, it seemed futile to try to remodel a building that was falling apart. In order for the public to be aware of the fact, it will be on record, so I support this motion fully.
Any other questions?
This is you say 51,000 to get like a study done, is that right?
Yes.
Every time we've met with the architect, he's given us numbers about what it would cost for remodeling. So why are we doing another study? If, it sounds like,
The numbers were estimated.
okay, so it was just a ballpark figure? Okay.
The
Best
square
guess.
footage estimation
Yeah.
is what has been given. This is more a entailed
Exactly.
dollar amount of a remodel.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, with this being 51,000, does this exceed the threshold for an RFP that would need to go out? I just don't want to get ahead.
No, sir, it would not, in my consideration, because this is an amendment or extension of the existing work that Hobbs and Black has already completed for us.
Yep, thank you.
I'm interested, I've asked before about the energy needs of the jail, and also interested in hearing more about how we're going to meet the physical and mental health needs of inmates in the new jail.
Okay, I'll also tag on to what Bob said. I did talk to Facilities and Fleet Services. I also talked to Marty from Hobbs and Black to keep their eyes open going through this. Because I still believe, once we get this dollar amount, we're gonna be surprised, to say the least. Because I'm pretty certain we're gonna be asking after that, what's it gonna take to maintain it, upgrade it, and keep it going. So just so everybody's aware, same as what Bob said. We'll see. What do we got, like 12 weeks before we get a dollar?
Yeah, I believe that was the estimate, sir, yes.
Okay. So it's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Oops, sorry, yes, that should be a roll call vote,
Oh,
I'm sorry,
sorry,
folks.
Commissioner Washington.
Yes.
Showers.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Littlekamp.
Yes.
Rudat.
Yes.
And DeLong.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent, motion carried.
Next up is the recommendation approving up to $30,500 for Fairgrounds Facility Conditions Assessment to be completed by Matrix Consulting Engineers. And I would so move.
I'll second.
Is there any question? This also will be a roll call vote. Did you have questions, Zach?
Not a question, it was more so just a comment. Once we get this assessment back, we would be covering this, would this be covered in a Ways and Means or an Infrastructure Committee meeting, or where would, like, next steps be on this?
My initial reaction would be, it would be something that we could be done at a Ways and Means meeting, depending on the extent. And I would, if that were necessary, I would discuss that with the Infrastructure Committee Chair. And
I guess my only comment is, just clearly, there's a lot of people who want to have some input on this conversation, so just as much as we can try to give those guys a timely heads up when that is on an agenda, so that they are able to see it and offer kind of input from those folks. So, yeah, I would support.
Okay. Roll call?
Commissioner Littlekamp.
Yes.
Rudat.
Yes.
Showers.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Washington. Yes. And DeLong.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent, motion carried.
That concludes the infrastructure meeting. Commissioner comments? John?
I don't have any.
Bob?
I've asked Steve Curry, the Executive Director of Michigan Association of Counties, to review the PA 202 language relative to those municipalities that were to submit a plan to pay off their pension and OPEB deficits, more specifically pension. And I'm waiting for that. As I've mentioned before, there are lots of municipalities that don't have a pension and deficit problem, but many do, and it impacts people's lives. And if I ever see that document, I'll make sure you all get a copy of it. What the citizens don't know, not our citizens, because we're okay at the moment, and I suspect that some of my fellow commissioners who are more financially astute, I'm looking at him down there on the far side over there, next to you, Dwight, no offense, but we'll carry on what we've been doing for the last quarter century. If you are I'm not picking on Eaton County. I know that when John was there, they were told over and over again that they needed to review their financial positions. As you all know, they weren't able to get a 2 mil levy passed to maintain their sheriff's deputies and the prosecuting attorney's office to have it completely staffed. What I'm sure most of them don't understand is, last time I looked at the numbers, they had a $63 million pension deficit that supposedly they will be paid off by 2040. There is no way that that county can pay off $4 million a year for the next 15 years to pay that off. So what is the alternative? Bankruptcy. And so it'll be, I hope I'm still alive in 15 years to see what's going on, but there are some serious financial obligations out there in our state that every citizen doesn't know exists. And it has nothing to do with party lines. It can be Republican or Democratic boards that let it slip by. Thank you, sir.
Boyd, anything? Commissioner Hurricane?
Yeah, I'll just echo a little bit off on what Bob said. I'm certified in OPEB or healthcare, post-employee benefits, and also pension funds. I worked in the state of Michigan in ORS, Office Retirement Services, overseeing these funds. And I couldn't agree with them more. I am going to keep a close eye on these. We are very nicely funded, and a lot of other municipalities do not have that opportunity to say that. And when these are not funded, it is a cost to the taxpayer. So we want to make sure that we keep these well-funded, drawing that interest off in our assets that we have. So that's a very critical piece in both the pension funding and also the OPEB funding. One other comment is I just would like to say I'm having my quarterly coffee. It's going to be held on Saturday, June 28th from 11 a.m. to 12 to noon at Reno's North. So if anybody would like to come out, have any questions, this is your opportunity. Kind of like a town hall. If you want to come out, I invite all welcome, bring your questions, and just another forum to ask your questions if folks out there listening can't get to these meetings, but it gives them an opportunity to bring their voice forward. So thank you.
I know a lot of the 4-H folks had already left, but I just wanted to say thank you for the folks that showed up and have been engaged in the fair conversation. I'm hopeful that we can have some really good conversations moving forward between the county and the fair community. And just to kind of, I made this point with a couple folks already, but just to put context into the makeup of our county and how much it's changing. We all represent 1/7 of the county, and everybody on this board right now, I think your districts could all fit in mine collectively together, short of Nicole's. So our suburbs are very much growing a lot quicker than the rest of the rural community, so that engagement from folks in 4-H is gonna go a long way. So just thank you, and looking forward to that conversation moving forward.
Perfect. Nothing but the reminder to submit your expense reports. Is there any other business before the board?